Yo, yo, yo! It's your girl Rose Gold, and thank you for tuning in for an episode of Heartbreak Hill Podcast. Here, we are breaking hearts and blowing minds, one conversation at a time. Catch us weekly on all podcast platforms. Beginning February of 2022, catch us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. on Comcast Channel 17. Don't forget, if you have an email or a question you would like to have read on air, please send us an email to hbhp@heartbreakhillpodcast.com. While you're at it, don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms at Heartbreak Hill Podcast. Now let's break some hearts and blow some minds, shall we? Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of Heartbreak Hill Podcast. I am so excited. I am so thrilled to be in front of you once again. Thank you so much to everybody who has been supporting the show up until this point. For those of you who do not know, Heartbreak Hill Podcast is 100% funded by the donations of viewers and listeners just like you. So I appreciate that so very, very much. For those of you who also do not know, as stated in the intro video, we are on Channel 17. If you are in the Minneapolis, Twin Cities area, okay, Channel 17, Wednesdays at 7 p.m., yours truly will be launching their episodes, as well as on all podcast platforms, Pandora, Apple. However you listen to your podcast, Heartbreak Hill Podcast is there. Now, without further ado, because, time is money. And especially as I have transitioned my career from strictly podcasting to also radio around this country, I really and truly do understand that time is money. Okay, so any little bit that you donate, whether it's $5, $10, $20, okay, time is money. Okay, I have been approved by the grace of God to launch and present myself for 2 hours in terms of visually like this on the podcast. And then radio wise, it does vary from country to country. Right now we are working on the East Coast in the Baltimore, Maryland area, which is super exciting, that kind of coastal area. And we're working on getting on radio in the West Coast. So stay tuned. Heartbreak Hill Podcast has stuff going on. Make sure to follow us on all social media platforms. Okay. Our group, Heartbreak Hill, it is called Heartbreakers, but it's managed, if you will, on Facebook, on Meta, by the production company Heartbreak Hill Podcast. But the group itself is called Heartbreakers. I need you guys to join that private Facebook group. And the reason is because this season of the podcast, I will be actually drawing my questions from there. So what I have been doing, I've done it once, but I haven't been doing it consistently. I'm going to make sure to be doing that. The questions that you guys send in, and I still have a lot more to get to from last season, so please forgive me with that. But what's happening is I will take the questions, and it's all random. There's no favorites here. I'm taking the questions, okay, that I receive in my inbox by email or by mail, and I am posting them anonymously in the group. And what I'm doing is I'm giving you guys a chance to tell me what you think. Tell me what you think about some of the questions that I get. Listen, I am no guru, okay? I am no expert. People ask my opinions on things just simply to hear what I think. It's perspective. It's not about, being it's not about being the oracle of all things relationships, right? The purpose of Heartbreak Hill Podcast is to teach people to have positive relationships with themselves and others by living in their truth, by living in their integrity. Okay, that is the purpose of this show. Nothing more, nothing less. All right, so join the private Facebook group Heartbreakers. Give your perspective. I want to know what you think. And what I'll be doing on a weekly basis is picking a random comment and reading it. And that'll be done before I give my perspective. Now, I didn't get a chance in time to do it for this week's show, so I'm just going to read the question of the week. If you're new here, we have a question of the week every week. Myself or one of the producers for the show pick a random question or random comments. Sometimes it's comments, it's not always questions of a person. And then we read it on air. I give what I think, and then now I'm giving you guys an opportunity to tell me what you think by way of the private Facebook group. I made it private just because I wanted people to have a place where they could go on social media without being seen by people that they may know. So the group is private. Your comments can be posted anonymously. Your questions or concerns, because I also take questions from the group, those can also be posted anonymously. Okay, so make sure that you guys get in there. I also want you guys to join me Wednesdays at 9 p.m. on TikTok. We will be having Rose Days. Okay, and that's where I will be recording the shows for the coming week. Okay, so you won't necessarily get the episodes available for download on the podcast on that week, but it will be for whatever is going to be airing that following week. So if you would like to have a preview of the podcast right now, this is a free service that I'm offering. And I say service just because if you're on TikTok, you're going to be able to see and hear the things that I'm recording before anybody else. So follow me on TikTok, actually all social media platforms, at Rose Gold Covered. Okay, all social media platforms, because there is where I'll be doing all of the giveaway stuff. That's why we'll be announcing our in-person podcast recordings, which we are going to be doing this coming 2025. So make sure to follow me on there. But most importantly, follow me on TikTok if you would like a preview of what I'm going to be talking about, because that is where I will be recording. Okay, be there or be square. Last but certainly not least, before I get into the nitty gritty of today's episode, okay, we offer one-on-ones. Part of the gap in recordings, or part of the gaps in the shows, have to do with the fact that, for one, my career has transitioned to radio. I'm also in law school, but then also we now offer one-on-one podcasts. So you have 3 1-hour sessions. The cost is $100. Okay, you get 3 sessions, okay, with myself or another podcaster from the team, and we walk with you step by step. 1 hour, 3 hours total, but we do it in 1 hour. It's 3 weeks. 1 hour each week. You sit down and we walk you step by step your equipment. We have discount codes for your equipment. We have guest lists for very important podcasting events. If you want to connect and get your show on TV or do something like that, we have those resources for you. Okay, so that is another thing that we're doing. So far, it has always been by word of mouth, but we are actually going to be opening up that service for you to actually sign up and book that service on our website. That is going to be available starting November 1st. Okay, so far, all of the business and traffic that we have been getting with helping people start their podcast, strictly word of mouth. Okay, you will have the opportunity to sign up. Okay, you can pay all at once. We have payment plans available. It is $100 because the stuff that we give you, we have to pay for. So Heartbreak Hill Podcast does not take any of the money that is made from this show and give it to me. Okay, I make my money through other things with the show, as far as like appearances, writing modules. I do trainings for different hosts across the country that are, maybe not necessarily podcasting, but they're hosting events. I have gotten into that work as well. So I'm saying that to say the money that is put into the podcast by way of donation or services that we offer does not come to me. Okay. Also want you to know that 10%, okay, 10% of the money that Heartbreak Hill Podcast is going to be making from selling these services to the public is going to go to the Domestic Violence Project here. We have 2 going on, one in the state of Texas, one in the state of Minnesota. So just keep that in mind, that you are also, if you sign up for the services to start your own podcast, or if you already have a podcast and would like to enhance it in some type of way, that $100, 10% of that is going directly to domestic violence projects. And we will have a rollout, okay, every month of what exact domestic violence project we donated to. Okay, it's not required, but it's something that we want to do so that you know exactly where 10% of your money is going. The other part, the other 90% of that $100 is going to be going back into making sure we can continue to give people services. Okay, now that we have all of the church announcements out the way, let's get into what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, when we think of a hater, most of us, when we think of a hater, Okay. We think of a mean, nasty, wicked person who is out to get us. Okay. Nobody considers themselves a hater. I know I don't. Okay. In fact, most people believe that they are far from a hater. Okay. Most people believe that there is no possible way, if you love yourself, that you can be a hater or you can be a person that has issues with envy. But what if I told you that you may be closer to being a hater than you actually think? What if I told you that it's really not that far off and it's really not that difficult to be a hater or to engage into hater activity? What if I told you that the signs of being a hater are actually very, 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 very easy to see and they're easy to point out? Well, I'm going to get to all of that shortly. But before I get into what we're going to talk about today, let me just hit you up with a little bit of that cha-ching. For those of you who have been here a while, you know what that is. That is Daily De Niro. Okay, that is the part of the podcast where we give you interesting facts for your mind, for your body, and most of all, for your Bible. Okay, it is an educational segment of the podcast, and so it is something that we have implemented for a few years now, and I find it to be helpful. And plus, I tend to talk about very, very serious topics on this podcast, serious things. Okay, and I think that Daily De Niro is just a way to kind of lighten the mood and also give you interesting facts. Come on, who doesn't like an interesting fact every now and then? Come on. Okay. The largest Bible ever recorded is called the Wayni Bible. I hope I'm saying that right. And it is housed at the Abilene Christian University in Texas. This gargantuan King James version weighs over 1,000 pounds. It is 43.5 inches tall and measures 98 inches wide when it is fully opened up. Okay, it took Lois Wayni, a self-ordained minister, 2 years to print the text on each mammoth page using his own self-made rubber stamp press. Wow. That's something else. So whenever if you happen to be in Abilene, Texas, or excuse me, at the Abilene Christian University in Texas, make sure you go and check out the world's biggest Bible. Not sure what made a person make a Bible that big, and that's cool. You know, everybody has different reasons for doing things, but that was an interesting fact that I thought I would share with you all. Also, as part of Daily De Niro, we also have a word of the week. Now, one of the ways as an up-and-coming attorney, those of you that don't know, I am a law school student as well. I'm a podcaster, radio host by day, law student at night. I have learned the value of vocabulary. And so one of the other parts, for those of you that are new here, once again, one of the other parts of Daily De Niro is vocab. So usually I'm going to come on here, do my thing with Daily De Niro, and then there's going to be a word of the week. Now, the word of the week usually has to do with what I'm going to be talking about. Sometimes it doesn't, but I try to make it match what I'm going to be talking about. I don't want to just be giving you random words. So to end Daily De Niro, word of the week, enmity. Okay. Enmity is a noun. That means it is a person, place, or thing. It is not an adjective, meaning it is not a descriptive word. Okay. It is a person, place, or thing. And it is a feeling or condition of hostility, hatred, or animosity. Okay. Enmity. Now, the first time that I've ever heard this word was when I was reading the Bible many years ago. And in Genesis, when Satan came as a serpent and tricked Eve into biting the apple, and God came and found out, and he chastised Adam and Eve, he gave a curse also to Satan. Made him as the serpent, told him he would crawl on his belly. And then he also said something important. He said that there would be enmity between the child and serpents for the rest of their life. So there will be enmity between God's creation, which is man, and Satan for all of eternity. Okay, so that's the first time that I've heard that word. But I want to use it in a different context, in a way that I think is important, especially as we advance our way on social media. The subject or the name of today's episode is called Enmity of Envy. Okay. My goal for today's podcast is to get you to be hateful and to despise envy. Okay. I hope that by the end of this podcast episode that you look at envy as one of the worst things that could ever happen to a human being. Okay. That is my goal. I want to teach you to have enmity for enemy. So right off the back, I want to just define the two words. There are two words that I want to define. I want to define envy and I want to define jealousy because they are not the same thing. Okay. Contrary to popular belief, jealousy, which is an adjective, it is a descriptive word. It means to fiercely protect, or be protective of one's possessions. So jealousy, contrary to popular belief, is actually a natural or normal trait. Okay. God has a jealousy for us as human beings. Okay. The purpose that God made us human beings, we are made for worship. We are made for family and for love. Right. And so God kind of has a jealous desire for our love, meaning that he doesn't like when we put anything above him. That feeling of jealousy is natural. Okay. That is a natural human feeling. What's unnatural, and when you know that you have stepped into a demonic, evil realm, is envy. Okay. Envy is a noun. So unlike jealousy as being a descriptive word, envy is a noun or a verb. Okay. A noun is a person, place, or thing. A verb is something that you do. So envy can be expressed as a person, place, or thing, but it is also something that you do. It can also be expressed in terms of actions. And that's what makes envy evil. Well, let me give you the definition of evil. So when it's used as a noun, envy is a feeling of discontent or resentment aroused by someone else's possessions, qualities, or luck. Most of us thought that that's what jealousy meant. I thought that that's what jealousy means. You jealous of me because I have this, or you jealous of me because I have that. No, that's not what that is. Jealousy is when it comes in terms of either possession or me and you both took the same test and we studied the same amount of hours, but you got a better grade on the test than I did. You understand what I'm saying? A person who is jealous of you has their own motion generally. They're already doing stuff. They're just not doing as good as you. But it doesn't make them act. A lot of times, if somebody is jealous of you, you really won't even know it. But when they're envious is when they start to show it. Because remember, envy is a verb word. It is a verb. Okay? It is a verb. So it's something that you must do. Let me keep going. When it is a noun, it is a feeling of discontent or resent that is aroused by somebody else's possessions, qualities, or luck. Okay? Verb. When envy is used as a verb, it is the desire to have a quality, possession, or other desirable attribute that belongs to someone else. You can be jealous of a car that nobody else is driving and just feel jealous of the fact or feel down about the fact that you can't afford it. That envy, you want it simply because somebody else has it. You wasn't even thinking about getting a brand new car, but you see somebody, and not only do you want it, okay? Wanting it is one thing. You stop liking a person. You become resentful toward a person. You don't like a person. You seek to sabotage that person. That's envy, and that's where it gets demonic. Jealousy will make you say, man, she got a nice shape. I wish I had a shape like that. I wish I had that body. Envy, it will make you lie and say, damn, I smell Cheryl. She came to the party. She was musty. She smelled like fish. Now, you know that girl wasn't musty. You know that girl didn't smell like fish, but you are hating. You are so envious that it's more than just, I wish I had that body. Now, you want others to look at her as less. Do you see how that has crept over to the demonic side of things? Let me keep going. Jealousy will make you say, damn, she has a lot of followers on her Facebook page and Instagram. Wow, and she even posted that she's getting paid for it. Man, I wish I was getting paid for it. I wish I was getting paid for engagement. That's jealousy. Envy will make you report their page. And keep going so y'all can make sure. Jealousy will make you say, I wish people, wow, you see how when she walks into a room or he walks into a room and everybody respects him and wants to be next to him. Whenever we walk into the bar or to the club, I wish I had that. Envy, y'all know not to mess with him, right? Yeah, I know y'all all happy when he come in here and things like that, but y'all know that he not who he say he is, right? Y'all know that, right? That's envy. Envy, you know that you have stepped into the envious part of it's no longer jealousy, and it has stepped into envy when you seek to downplay or downgrade that person and their accomplishments. That's how you know. On the other side, you know that you have reached into the evil realms of envy when you find yourself upset or not liking this person for no apparent reason. They've never really done anything to you. You may not like, we're not going to get along with everybody. Okay. I had to learn that the hard way. I used to feel sad when people did not care for me. When I would go to work or school and I would try to connect with people and they didn't, I would feel sad. Everybody is not going to connect with you. And that's actually to your advantage and your benefit. That's different from, I don't like her. I don't like him. You have no real reason. You've never even talked to this person one-on-one. You've never had a conversation with them, but you don't like them. That's envy. And when the devil has gotten your mind to be envious, there is no place that he won't go. This is what happened between Cain and Abel. Do you understand what I'm saying? At first, I felt like, well, maybe it was jealousy because they both came forth and gave their best, but they didn't. See, people that are envious of you, people that have envy problems, if you're a person with envy problem, you know what your real problem is? You don't want to give your best. You think that you can get something for nothing simply by showing up. Who does he think he is to have all of that money? Who does she think she is to have all of that esteem and all of that praise on social media when you have not even put in the work? You can't even post a status on a consistent daily basis, but you're upset and envious and saying that people are thinking that they're all of that when you have did none of the work. You should have seen when I first started this podcast, the emails and the messages that I would get from people who do I think I am? That was lit. I wish that I was joking with you, family included. It made them uncomfortable that I had the audacity to get in front of the world and express what I feel and think about things. And all of these people, smart, intelligent, beautiful, I'm not better or smarter than any of them that reached out to me in this type of way. I'm not better than any of them. I'm not smarter, but I did the work. I get up at 5 a.m. and record. I go to meetings, even when I don't feel like it. Go to meetings with people who have different views than me, people who look down on Black women as a whole, and I have to meet with them. And I have to bite my teeth and my tongue when they say something racist or when they say something sexist or when they disrespect me by trying to date me and I'm at the studio trying to work. This is the work that I have put into the show. But you will have people thinking, why me? Why her? What? Envy. It is a delusional emotion. Envy is it a delusional thing? Because there is nothing that no one possesses in this world that you can't also have. Envy will make you self-sabotage. You can be in close proximity, and later on in this season, we will have an episode that is called The Power of Proximity. And we'll get into depth about how and why it is so important to be close to and to know who you are close to and to be around people that look like your future versus your past. But envy will make you self-sabotage. When you have an envious spirit, and I'm going to call it a spirit because that's what the Bible says it is. The Bible doesn't call envy a emotion. It calls it a spirit. Okay. When you have the spirit of envy on you, you can't have close relationships or friendships with people, especially people that may be prettier or more successful than you are. You can't do it. The spirit of envy won't let you. Okay. It will not let you. If you are a female or you are a male, because, one thing about envy is that it has no respect of persons, meaning that it's not a female trait. It's not an envy. It's not a male trait. It shows up in males and females differently. And I'm going to get into that in a second because you really got to be careful with this thing. It shows up differently in males and females, but envy has no respect of persons. Okay. When you have an envious spirit, I want you to just look at your relationships and your friendships. Why do all of your friendships end? Why you can't be friends for a long time with people? Why is it that when you do have friends, you constantly compare yourself to them? What is that about? Why is it that whenever you have a group of friends or a group of family that you hang out with and you're around them, why can't you stop comparing yourself to them and what they have going on? That is signs that you have the spirit of envy on you. Now let's talk a little bit about the dangers of envy, and then I'm going to give you a few points of how to tell of how envy is. What is the catalyst? What is the genesis? A lot of times of envy. Matter of fact, let me start there. I was going to do it in reverse, but let me tell you how envy takes root. A lot of times, comparison as a child is generally the first way that I see it. The people that I know that struggle with envy, they were compared a lot as a child. Now, maybe in parents, nobody is perfect. But parents, if you're doing this right now to your child, I'm telling you that you're raising a hater. You're raising a hater. You may not mean to, and that may not be your motive to, but you are raising a hater with this behavior, constantly comparing them to other kids. I have a family member whose mother compared him to every kid. Why you don't clean your room like him down the street? Why you don't wear your clothes like him? He is a hater to this day. Can't keep close relationships outside of like his girlfriends and stuff like that. Can't form. Hater. Has a hard time clapping for people when they win. Just hater. So being compared as a child, whether it's to your siblings, whether it's to other children in your neighborhood, being compared as a child is definitely a way that envy takes form. Another way that envy takes form is through rape or molestation as a child. Let me tell you something. When you are raped or sexually assaulted or molested or anything like that, especially like by the same sex, right? Even if you are an adult and it happens, when something like that happens to you, you have no choice but to think, why me? Okay? Why me? Why did this have to happen to me? Why did I have to get this? So now here's what happens with that why me. Okay, so that tragic, traumatic incident happens. Someone, forces you to have sex, coerces you into having sex, whatever the case may be, molests you, sexually assaults you. Why me? If you don't heal from that, meaning you don't talk to a professional, you don't tell anybody that happened to you, okay? You don't get counseling or therapy for it, to realize, to work through those emotions. If you never do that and that happened to you, why me turns into, as an adult and as you age, what that turns into is why them and not me. Run that back if you have to, okay? If you don't get rid and take care of that, why me? Why did this have to happen to me? If you don't take care of that, it transforms into why them and not me. You start to see people, have successful long-term relationships, which is one thing that is affected when that happens. When you are raped or molested at a young age, it is very hard for you to have relationships if you don't deal with that. So then you start thinking, why do they get to have a healthy and loving husband and not me? Why does he get to have a wife that actual a girlfriend that really loves him and really likes him and wants to be with him and not me? Why them and not me? And before you know it, you have turned into a hater. Most of us don't know that. But have no fear. Rose Gold is here and I'm here to teach. Okay, that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to teach. Okay, another way that envy is implanted. Also as a child, but watch this. If you are the child of a man or a woman who has a boyfriend, girlfriend, or spouse who is consistently unfaithful, multiple times a year, once a year, they've been together 10 years, 8 out of those 10 years he's been cheating. Did you know that you are passing down traits of envy into your kids when you stay with a person that constantly cheats on you? That's cold, ain't it? Let me tell you how. I know you asking how. Let me tell you how. When you decide to stay with a partner that you know is unfair, it's one thing to have, women, we have intuition, and that is meant to protect us in this world because we live in a predatory world. When you have the intuition that someone is cheating on you, that is completely separate from constantly catching someone cheating on you and taking them back. But let me tell you what happens to your mind, and to the mind of the children that you are raising in this environment. That's why, I made a joke. I was live on Twitter, X. I feel so funny calling it X, but I was live on X and we were having a discussion about cheating. And this came up. And women were literally crying tears in this live with what I'm about to say. Here's what happens. When you constantly take somebody back that you know is unfaithful to you, and it is subconscious, it is not intentional, but it's just what happens when you have a person that is constantly disrespecting you and telling you that you are not enough as you are by cheating on you, because that's what cheating means. Okay. You start to develop a comparison, fearful mindset. Okay. Comparison, fearful mindset is, if you have a person that is always unfaithful, what you start to do is you start to formulate this person's type. So if you are a man that is with a woman that keeps cheating on you kind of in your mind, the kind of guys that may be her type. If you are a woman and you have a man that constantly cheats on you, you know that he has a type. And listen, type it's very seldom to do with looks. Okay. A type could be a lifestyle. There was a point there was a point when I was a teenager where all I did was date guys that sold drugs. I don't know why I was like that, but that was my type, quote unquote, as a teenager. I don't know. Listen, I grew up in a drug environment. Okay. Truthfully, that's what was around. I wasn't esteemed enough to know that I could date outside of my neighborhood. You understand what I'm saying? And I was afraid at that time to give guys who had careers and their own businesses and things like that a chance, because I didn't know what to do with them. This is as a teenager. Okay, I'm 30 years old now. A lot has changed. Okay, but I'm just saying, you start to foreshadow this person's type. So then here's what happens. Every time a pretty girl walks into the grocery store, every time a pretty girl walks into, the coffee shop, you get fearful. You get flighty. You get afraid. And that impacts your relationship with your children. It is next to impossible, okay? Next to impossible to have healthy relationships with your kids and you have a partner that cheats on you. You can't focus on more than one thing at a time like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you have a partner that is constantly cheating on you and that is constantly doing all of this and that to you, it is simply because of the simple fact that is what they want to do. It has nothing to do with you. But when you stay, it affects your ability to bond with other people and your children. So here's what happens. And this is what I've known to be true my whole life. Hating, envious parents raise hating, envious children. It is inevitable. One catalyst to that is being with a partner that is unfaithful, being with a partner that can't be faithful to you in terms of they don't know how to be what you need them to be. You understand what I'm saying? They just can't do it. They just can't do it. And it affects your relationships with your kid. Derek Jackson, I'm going to say this last thing and then I'm going to move on. Derek Jackson, wife. Now, if you don't know who Derek Jackson is, he is a YouTube personality, and he talks about relationships with women and children. He talks about relationships with, not necessarily relationships. I'm not going to say relationships, but he talks with, he talks on social media about like how men are, or he talks about like, how they act, or like these are some of the signs that you should look out for. And what actually happened is that Derek Jackson got caught cheating on his wife, and his wife did an episode where she was on someone else's podcast, and y'all know what she said? She talked about how him cheating on her all those years severely impacted her relationship with her daughter. And she said that part of that was because her daughter started to favor, in terms of her skin tone, the girls that Derek Jackson would cheat on her with. I cried when I heard that because it was so real. Most women are not secure enough in who they are to ever admit that. It's hard for me to really, I don't even feel like I could trust my daughter in the house along with my man. A lot of women can't, but that's what happens. A lot of women aren't strong enough to admit that you've stayed with them so much longer than you were supposed to, that now your relationship with your child has suffered. This is just a thing. Just wanted to put that out there. Let me keep going. Envy can start when you have low self-esteem throughout your life. Now, low self-esteem does not mean you don't like yourself. Okay. Low self-esteem, that just means that it takes cheap things to make you feel good about yourself. Okay. So like if you're one of those women, there are women out here, that, they feel like I'm messing with her man and she doesn't even know it. She's a goofy. She's a lame. They get their self-esteem off of secretly being with someone else's man. That's what you call a cheap price. Okay. So a lot of times women that are envious, they have low self-esteem, and that low self-esteem can be from a number of factors. Okay. It can be from a number of factors. Okay. What is the danger of envy? The dangers of envy is that envy is generational. I've already just said that hating parents raise hating kids. It is just something that it is impossible for you to be an envious person and not have children that come up after you that are envious. And we actually notice this when we read our Bible. That's what I'm saying, man. Get you a Bible and read it. Even if it's just the Old Testament, I recommend you read it cover to cover so that you can know what's going on in this world. But in the Old Testament, we have Rachel and Leah. One is envious of the other, and they're really envious of each other for different reasons. One has the love of the man, the other one has children for the man. By the way, if you read that story on Leah and Rachel, you can understand that a man could have a lot of children by you and still not want to be with you. Okay? Keep that in mind. It doesn't bind him to you in no type of way emotionally. Men aren't wired that way. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Rachel and Leah are jealous of each other in different ways. Leah stops being jealous of Rachel because she finally realizes that having children by a man ain't gonna make him want you. And so her envy subsides. But Rachel continues to be jealous. And you know what happens? Leah is so jealous of the love that Jacob has for Rachel that her children, the children that Leah has, grow up to be envious of Rachel's son. Do you get what I'm telling you? Envy is generational. It is a taught behavior. It is also a familiar spirit. So sometimes it doesn't have to be taught. If you have a mother or a grandmother that has been jealous of people their whole life or that has been envious, that spirit can actually naturally be around you, and it's up to you to identify it. And that's what I'm going to end this episode with, is how do you identify an envious spirit in yourself? Okay? Envy is a gateway for demons. I'm talking about why envy is dangerous right now. Envy is a gateway for demons because it separates you from God. This is straight from the book. James chapter 3 talks heavily about envy and jealousy being evil. Envy is evil because the ultimate desire of an envious spirit is to destroy and demise. That's why I say once you have transferred from envy or from jealousy to envy, it becomes demonic, because now you are at the point where you're willing to do things. Now, don't be prideful and say to yourself, well, I'm not ready. I haven't done anything to the person, so I'm not envious. I'm going to give you some signs in a moment that have nothing to do with doing anything that still mean that you are envious, because just by you having envious thoughts, you're in trouble. You're halfway there. You're halfway there if you're already thinking envy. Let me keep going because we only got a few more minutes and I still got to do question of the day. Okay. Envy is more powerful than anger. Okay. You would rather a person be mad at you than a person be envious of you. Proverbs 27 tells us this. Okay. There's a whole verse in there that talks about how envy is more dangerous than anger. Okay, because it's more sinister. It's more backdoorish. You get what I'm saying? Lastly, envy blocks your blessings. That is the last danger of envy that a lot of people don't know. Did you know by being a hater, you can block your blessings? God cannot bless you or thrive in you anywhere where there is an envious heart, because envy in itself is evil. James chapter 4 tells us that anything you want with jealousy in your heart, you will not get. It is a reason, and I couldn't think of why God would say in the 10 Commandments, thou shalt not covet, because covet is more than just jealousy. Covet is envy. Covet means I want what you got because it's you that got it. That's what covetousness is, and it is a factor of envy. You understand what I'm saying? It prevents you from envy prevents you from truly being able to love someone. And that is a great segue into what I'm getting ready to talk about. Okay. You cannot have a fulfilling relationship with a person that is envious of you. And I want to talk specifically to the women right now. Okay. Because it's kind of hard for a woman to be envious of a man, because generally it is acceptable in society for the man to be doing better than the woman. You get what I'm saying by that? Like, I have yet to meet a woman that's, man, this dude make more money than me, and it just makes me feel less of a woman. It doesn't really work that way. You see what I'm saying? But when a man is envious of a woman, it is dangerous. Two types of relationships I want to talk about real quick. Man is envious of a woman, it is dangerous. When you have a friend that is envious of you, it is dangerous. Let's talk first about when the man is envious of the woman. When a man is envious of you, this is where we get those quote unquote toxic men from. Because a lot of the time, they don't want to let you go. They will be with you and mistreat you, but don't want to break up. And some of the signs that you have a man that is envious of you, he always wants to criticize your appearance. You can be dressed up to the T and he will find one thing that is not perfect about you and he will exploit it. Okay? He will try to sabotage the way that you think about yourself. So this is why sometimes you will hear that envious men will cheat on women that they're envious men will cheat on women that they're envious of. They will. Because it is a way to humble you. It is a way to break you down. If I can cheat on her and make her think that she is less than, then just maybe I can be above her. Okay? Overcritical of you. And I'm not talking about appearance. The way you chew, the way you walk, the way you talk. All of these little things to try to demise you. And the last way, they will try to purposely humble you. And that's different than nitpicking at you, because a lot of the times what that envious spirit will do in a man is it will make them come across like they're helping you. Okay? It will come across like a suggestion, but in the heart, it is envy. And that's why, ladies, even if you are married, pray about your relationships, because an envious man will beat you up. He will cheat on you. He will purposely triangulate you with another woman and, have you in a situation where you fight the other woman, or the other woman tries to fight you. An envious man will do that. And don't let it be an envious man that secretly likes men too, because that is something that we don't talk about in our community, how a lot of these men that treat women wrong and in an envious way are on the down low. I have a whole episode coming on about that. It's not always that he's on the down low. Sometimes he just doesn't like you, but sometimes he's on the down low and he can't treat you right because he really desires a man. That is a real thing. You would be surprised working in this prison system in this state, what I see, and how many guys that really and truthfully, willfully and willingly participate in sex of the same sex and then go home and have sex with women like nothing ever happened. Okay? So, when you have an envious friend, a lot of the times the envy will be in the jokes. Okay? Trying to embarrass you in front of people with these little jokes, and it'd be envy. It'd be envy, and it comes off like it's not. Envious people that are in your circle as friends or colleagues, also what they will try to do is they will try to use something that we call suggestive persuasion. Okay? And suggestive persuasion is, I'm not telling you to do something, but I'm going to throw it out there as a suggestion so that you can do it on your own. And what these people will try to do is they might try to give you suggestions or little comments about other people in your life. You see this a lot with abusive partners. If they want control over someone, they may say, hey, I don't think you should really trust Tiana or Samantha. You shouldn't trust them. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that you shouldn't. Now, these people have never done anything to you dishonest or untrustworthy, but because you love this person, you want to be with this person, you will listen to what they have to say. And really and truly, they are trying to captivate your mind so that only they can have control over you. So watch that. Some of us have been with partners 30 and 40 years that have been envious of us all along. And unfortunately, envy is not a reason to divorce, but it is a point of prayer. Pray about that. Okay, go to God on the throne about that. If you find yourself in an envious marriage, if you find yourself in a relationship with an envious person that you're not married to, ask God to show you if this is the right relationship. And if it's not, ask him to give you a clean and free way out. See, you can be simple with God. God, I want out of this relationship, but I want it to be in the most cleanest way where I can still protect my peace. He will give you just that. I promise. He will give you that. Okay. Now, the last few things that I want to say, and I'm going to wrap up on this just a few minutes, is how do you know if you have envious traits? I did an episode on this before, but I want to just dig a little bit deeper. Envy. How do you know that you have envious traits? You have no reason for not liking that person, but you don't like them. I don't want to hear nothing about, but I'm a good judge of character. I'm a good judge of vibes. That's not what we're talking about. You said you don't like this person. It is impossible for you to not like somebody that you do not know unless there's something else going on. Because even if they have like a bad spirit or a bad vibe, okay, that's not going to make you dislike them. It's a difference. It'll make you stay away from them. But disliking them, that's something that's completely separate. Okay? Another way that you know that you struggle with envy is that you compare yourself a lot. When somebody gets something new, do you feel that you have to also get something new? That's competing and comparing. Excuse me, I meant to say. When someone gets a new hairstyle, do you feel like you have to automatically go get a new hairstyle? When somebody posts up a picture on Facebook, do you hesitate before you like it or heart it? You may struggle with envy. Do you gossip a lot? Are you talking about people's business on a daily basis? If so, you may struggle with envy. I am not in your life. I don't know what you've been through. I don't know what it is that has brought you here to me today, but I can tell you that envy is a trap. It is a trap. We live in a world, we live in a social media atmosphere that makes us think that if we don't have haters, we are not popping. And I want you to know that that is absolutely foolish rhetoric, foolish doctrine. The last thing that you want is for people in your life to envy you. It's the last thing that you want. It is dangerous when people envy you. Do you understand what I'm saying? It is dangerous when a person plots on you. Okay? Judas was jealous and envious of Christ. So he infiltrated the circle. If you think to yourself, if they can do it, I can do it too, you may be envious. Okay? God has a specific, and I'm telling you, ordained path for you. And it has everything on it that you could possibly want. You don't get there by being envious. You don't get there by being a hater. If you are struggling with that, okay? If you are struggling with envy, I encourage you to go on our Facebook page, go on our website, heartbreakhealpodcast.com. I have a special prayer there under prayers that is for envy. Click on it, read it whenever you can. It's no big deal, but it is a prayer to rid yourself of envy. It is in the name of Jesus Christ. So if you are not a believer in Christ, I do understand that. The prayer is still there for you to use. But one of the catalysts in breaking those chains of envy is the word of Christ. It is the love and the blood of Christ. Okay? So we have a prayer section on our website where you can go and read prayer. You can also submit a prayer request. That is something that is also new this year. And next up, we have question of the week. Stay tuned. Don't go nowhere. All right. Thank you so much. If you are just now getting here, run that back as soon as you can. We just did an episode on the enmity of envy. For those of you who just heard that commercial music, I encourage you and I implore you to please join us on YouTube so that you can get the full experience of the podcast. Join us on YouTube for the visual. Okay. It is the best thing that you will ever get. Question of the week. Okay. Stacy from Staten Island, New York. Hey, Stacy. My boyfriend and I have been together almost 10 years now, and I am very concerned. He has not asked me to marry him, and he still texts other women, in a flirty way. We have 2 children together. Recently, a life insurance policy came up, and I asked him about marriage. He said he didn't see the reason to get married if we already love each other. He said the government has made marriage to keep men broke. I have a love spell from my West Indian grandmother, and I am thinking it may work. Okay, Stacy, first of all, thank you for writing in. I always feel happy when you guys write in because, believe it or not, as human beings, we have so many similar experiences where we're going through similar things in the world. I see stuff about love spells all the time on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok. And first of all, I want to start at the bottom. What is for you, you don't have to manipulate or connive to get it. Okay? You don't have to use a love spell to get that man to love you or to be with you. In fact, if you have to use a love spell to get him to do that, that means that you're going to have to keep using a love spell to keep getting him to stay in love with you. And even if it works one time, let me tell you something. Those love spells, what if they love you so much they end up killing you? That happens. They love you so much that they end up killing you. when they think you want to break up. Be very careful about the things that you do in the spiritual realm. I would not recommend doing no love spell. It's not that serious. What's for you, you do not have to lie, cheat, manipulate, sneak, creep, connive to get it. So absolutely not on the love spell. You've been with him almost 10 years. And I can tell you that he knew within the first 2 of whether or not he was going to get married. He does not want to get married. That can be a hard pill for a lot of us women to swallow, because some guys just were not taught the value of marriage. They don't see the value in it, y'all. They're not bad people. They don't hate you. They actually love you, but they don't see the value in marriage. And you have to decide if you are okay with that or not. A lot of people will say this, well, he just don't like you. He don't want to marry you. He want to be married. He don't want to marry you. It's very rare where I see a guy like leave a relationship and then go get married to someone else, unless the new girl requires it. That's the only time that I see a guy like he's been with a girl for 8 years and he didn't marry her, and then he go meet somebody else and they get married. It's usually because the woman required it. And so you just have to decide, look, he doesn't want to be married. He doesn't want to get married. And that doesn't make him a bad guy, but it may mean that he's not the guy for you. Okay? That's just my take on that. I'm not going to tell you if you should leave or if you should stay, but I can tell you for sure, if he's texting other girls, that's the other part of this. Not only is he not ready to get married, he's not ready for a serious or committed relationship. And if you catch him doing that again, make up in your mind. Just say to yourself, say, self, if I catch this man cheating on me, texting other women, meeting up with other women, hooking, whatever he's doing, if I catch him doing that one more time, I'm done with this relationship. Make it up in your head. Don't say it to him. Just make it up in your mind that if he does this behavior again, I'm done. And then mean that, because then here's what's going to happen. You'll be sad for a little bit when you break up with him, but shortly after that, once you do the healing work, I recommend that you speak to a therapist after any time long-term relationship. I went to therapy after I got divorced. I just recommend it, right? But what's going to happen is you'll be sad for a while, and then you'll meet somebody that does want to get married. And that's not, it has the same values and beliefs that you have. Because right now it seems that you've been settling for almost 10 years. You didn't just wake up today and decide you wanted to be married. You've been wanting this. And sometimes as women, we think if we have his children, if we show him that we're a wife, that they're white. Listen, if he doesn't want to be married, baby, it's nothing that you can do or show it. You don't want to have to manipulate somebody into marrying you. It should be an act that he wants to do, willful, out of his own volition, that he says, this is a woman I cannot live without. See, a lot of the times, sometimes he won't marry because he doesn't think you're going anywhere anyway. You've given him too much. Now, I know that's easy for me to say. I don't have children. But I will tell you that it's never too late to want differently and to say no to behavior that you don't accept or allow. Make up in your mind, sweetheart. Stacy, make up in your mind, Stacy, that if you catch him doing that again, it's a wrap. And mean it. And stand on business. Get your own place. If you don't make enough money to get your own place, start there. Start by getting a job. There's ways around this. And there's people in your community that can help you. Listen, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me. I am thankful so much. I just came from the gym. I'm going to get out of these clothes. I'm going to prepare for an episode for next week. I thank you so much. Like I said, you could have been anywhere in the world, but you decided to be here with me. And just remember, as you go out into the week, as you go out into your wonderful and amazing, outstanding, fulfilling lives, just remember that the trauma was not your fault. The trauma that you experienced, not your fault. Okay? But it is your responsibility to heal. Trauma is not your fault. Responsibility to heal is yours. Love you, family.